how you define gender and how it relates to a person and the individuals in the relationship.
I think it does, but it shouldn't, because in movies and stuff and stories you always hear the guy comes home from work, the girl makes them dinner and like stays at home with the kid.
Well, it depends sort of what your preference is in the first place, but I really don't think that gender needs to be a big deal in a relationship. Like, if you love someone, and that's just how it should be.
It depends where you are. I've been to places where there are really defined gender roles within relationships, and it's pretty taboo and strange to go outside of those gender roles. For me personally, it's not a very important thing.
The men would usually take control and like provide the money and do things for the girl, and the girl would just go along with it. But I don't think it should be that way.
Certainly that men are supposed to be more masculine and more muscular, and females are supposed to be more sympathetic and empathetic and more gentle and less outspoken and not emotional. I see a lot of my friends struggle with that in terms of being female and being frustrated more easily, or when something happens they cry as a way to process what's happening. You know, there's the great gender debate between men and women, and men need to learn how to communicate better, and women are better at talking about their feelings.
I think times have changed. When I was in high school, it was the guy had to ask the girl out, and you know, were supposed to take her out to dinner and buy her, things.
Today I don't feel like doing anything.
Well, if she brought me flowers, would it be real? That would be something cute, maybe. But if she want to pay for me, that would be, I won't let her do that, because I'm not one of those person that let the girl pay.
Fiance and I have a very equal relationship, and sometimes she buys me flowers, sometimes I buy her flowers. So yeah. In fact, I like it when she holds the door for me. That way I don't have to open it.
I think it'd definitely be weird because it's unique. You see, it's pretty cliche. The guy does all that stuff, but I wouldn't mind if a girl did all that for me. It's a change of pace, and I would enjoy that a lot.
Dream on, dream on, dream on.
No, that would be awesome. That would be adorable if you had someone, like, doing your stuff for you. And again, like, doesn't matter whether it's male or female, like, I think that would be really cool if a guy was sort of willing to, like, do stuff that's sort of usually considered, like, girly or anything like that. I think that would be really awesome if he's willing to sort of do that kind of thing because he loves you. I think that's awesome.
It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need your money.
Well, I don't care if one or both of us are the breadwinner. I mean, I know, knowing myself, I do prefer working out of the house, and I probably would go a little stir crazy if I didn't work out of the house. But that's not to mean that Deb couldn't do that if that's what she wanted to do.
I feel the same way. I feel like, honestly, whoever has the capacity to make more money, because some jobs are still really fabulous jobs, but they might make a little bit less money. And, whoever really has that capacity to make enough money to pay the rent and pay the mortgage and pay the bills, and whether that's one of us or both of us, it doesn't really matter who. As long as everybody's happy with their roles.
I think it sort of depends on what relationship you're in, and sort of what type of person you are, like whether you're more of a submissive person who doesn't necessarily want to have all that responsibility. But I don't think that gender is an important part of that. Like, me personally, I would be happy with either. It just depends on who you're with.
I can speak for my own relationship that I think it's pretty even in terms of, I think that there are areas where I am more dominant and there are areas where my partner is more dominant, and it depends on what our strengths are. It is interesting with regards to, the stereotype that we expect men to be chivalrous, and as much as I would like to break down gender stereotypes and say that men don't have to be chivalrous, I really like it when a man opens a door for me or holds the car door open for me. My mom used to teach me when we would walk down the street, she would notice that oftentimes if there was a man who would move to the inside of the street, so the man would be standing between the cars and the woman, and she would say, oh, he's a walk on the right side of the street kind of guy. And, it speaks to how people are raised, but I was raised that men are very thoughtful of women, are very chivalrous in that way, and as much as I like to be open-minded, I also really like that. I like chivalry, and I think that that's important. But I also believe that women should be thoughtful in the same way towards men. So maybe it's not a gender stereotype. Maybe I'd more just think that both men and women should be generous and kind to one another.
The dark days are over. The dark.
Yes, there's more equality, it seems to me, between the genders. I think it's good because everybody needs to help each other a little bit, and nobody can do everything by themselves, and this way, if the roles are more equal, they can help each other more.
Yeah, I can't just boss her around, you know? This is like a century ago, I could just say, hey, make me a sandwich. But now, not so much, huh?
I think so. Well, feminism movement, that's what it's all about. Like changing people's perceptions, ensuring sort of an equal balance between men and women, especially like in relationships and all that. And I think that there are ways to change it just by, you know, taking these little steps and you know, being like setting a good example for your kids and like setting an example for your friends and everything, and just sort of treating everyone with the respect that you would want to be treated.
It's pretty hard to change like a whole group of people, like society itself, but if I wanted to be unique and change it up, it all starts with like one person, and then maybe it'll convince other people to change as well.
Leading by example is a major way to do that. I've been on wilderness trips that I've led where if I'm working with a woman and we're working with a group of kids, we might strategically plan to do things so that we're fulfilling the opposite gender stereotype. So I might be the one who's cooking and cleaning, and she's the one out looking for firewood or things like that. And not pointing it out, but just kind of demonstrating.
Who let the dogs out?